All right, so if you've got asthma or some pretty serious allergies, chances are you know your way around an inhaler. But have you ever stopped to think about what that little thing is actually doing inside you? It's so much more than just, opening up your airways. It's on a high-tech mission, right down to the genetic level. So let's get into it. We're going to break down Beclomethasone, a cornerstone medication that is way, way smarter than it looks. And it all really begins right here. I mean, that feeling of tightness, the wheezing, that constantly blocked nose, none of that is random. It's your body's own inflammatory response just going haywire in your airways. It's like this nagging, smoldering fire that Beclomethasone is designed to put out, not just for a minute, but for good.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the inflammation problem itself. Then we'll unpack the really clever prodrug design of Beclomethasone. After that, we are going to go inside the cell to see how it literally flips the off switch on inflammation. Then we'll cover the super practical user guide and wrap it all up with a look at safety and the big picture.
Okay, let's get straight to the point. With things like persistent asthma, the real enemy is chronic inflammation. Just picture your airways in a constant state of being irritated. That's what causes the swelling, all that extra mucus. It makes you super sensitive to triggers. Beclomethasone isn't about just covering up those symptoms. It's designed to go straight for that root cause. And now for the really cool part. Beclomethasone is a type of synthetic corticosteroid, which sounds fancy, but its real genius is in its delivery. See, it's designed as what's called a prodrug, which is just a fundamentally smarter way to get the medicine exactly where it needs to be and pretty much nowhere else. So what on earth is a prodrug? Well, think of it like a sleeper agent. You inhale Beclomethasone, but it's totally inactive. It's dormant. It's only after it lands in its target zone, your lungs, that it gets activated. It's kind of like sending a secret message that can only be decoded at the right destination. And the payoff for this approach is just brilliant. By only waking up once it's in the lungs, the drug can unleash its full anti-inflammatory power right where the problem is. This super targeted strategy is key because it drastically cuts down on the risk of side effects spreading through your whole body. For a long-term medication, that's a huge win. Okay, so let's follow the medicine. We're about to shrink down and see how Beclomethasone actually makes its way from your inhaler into your cells and right to the command center to totally change how they behave. This is where the magic really happens. It's a 3-step process. Step 1, delivery. You breathe it in and the inactive drug slips into the cells lining your airways. Step 2, activation. Enzymes that are just hanging out in your lungs flip the switch, turning the drug into its superpowered active form. And finally, step 3, the mission. This newly activated molecule makes a beeline for the nucleus, the cell's brain. Now, once it's inside that command center, this is where things get really wild. The drug launches a 2-pronged attack on your genes. On one hand, it binds to your DNA and literally switches on the genes that make your body's own anti-inflammatory stuff. But at the exact same time, it goes and switches off the genes that are screaming for more information. So it's not just blocking the problem, it's actually rewriting the cell's instructions. And the end result of all this genetic engineering? It's pretty amazing. The swelling in your airways just calms right down. Your body stops making so much of that sticky mucus. Fewer inflammatory alarm bells show up to the party, and your airways become way less twitchy and reactive. Basically, the whole system just takes a deep breath and chills out. Understanding all that science is one thing, but actually using the medicine the right way is what makes all the difference. So let's shift gears and talk about the practical, everyday stuff you absolutely need to know. Okay, listen up, because this might be the single most important thing we talk about. Beclomethasone is a controller. It's a planner. It works slowly in the background to prevent attacks from ever happening in the first place. It is not a rescuer. If you're having an asthma attack and need help right now, you need a rescuer like salbutamol. That's what instantly relaxes your airways so you can breathe. Getting these two mixed up is a huge no-no and can be really, really dangerous. And here it is, the golden rule of inhaled steroids. You have to rinse and spit every single time. Why? Because a little bit of the medicine always lands in your mouth and throat. A quick swish and spit washes it away, and that is the #1 best way to prevent the most common side effect, which is a fungal infection called oral thrush. Seriously, just make it a habit. Of course, any medicine that's this effective is going to have potential side effects, so we need to have a real talk about the risks and rewards. The key here is to understand the difference between local effects, the more common ones, and systemic effects, which are much, much rarer, thanks to that clever design we talked about.
So, local side effects are the ones that happen right where the medicine lands. We've already covered thrush, which you can prevent. You might also notice your voice getting a little hoarse, or maybe a bit of a cough or throat irritation. And if you're on the nasal spray, you might get some minor irritation or even a nosebleed. For the most part, these are manageable.
Systemic side effects, the ones that affect your whole body, are way less of a concern with standard inhaled doses. That's because almost any of the drug you swallow gets zapped and neutralized by your liver right away. But, and this is important, at really high doses for a long time, there are some risks to keep an eye on, like effects on bone density or growth in kids. And that's exactly why those regular doctor checkups are so critical.
You know, this quote from the research really just says it all perfectly. Beclomethasone is a cornerstone medication because it was literally engineered to hit that perfect balance, getting the absolute most therapeutic bang for your buck right there in the lungs while doing everything possible to minimize trouble everywhere else.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you know that your daily inhaler isn't just some simple mist, but it's actually this sophisticated little agent that goes into your cells and rewrites their inflammatory code, does that kind of change how you see it? It's not just a medicine. It's a piece of seriously advanced bioengineering you get to use every day. Pretty cool, right?